My name is Kirigo Kabuga. I am a Sisterlocks Master Stylist, a business coach in the natural hair industry, a mom of two beautiful children, a daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Kabuga, and a sister to three siblings. Um, so one of the things that I love most, or what I'm known for, is being an expert in the natural hair industry, especially with a certain craft, which is called sister locks. Those small frame of locks that we create in order to sort of preserve the natural hair curl and take into consideration its patterns and its complexities and its behaviors, and really helping women move away from putting chemicals in their hair and being able to adapt to their own natural hair. I'm very passionate about that because for years, including myself, I've seen what we have done as women with putting chemicals in our hair, wearing those really, really tight braids, and because we didn't have the knowledge in the past like we do today in the natural hair industry. Um, so we did a lot of things, created a lot of traction, hair breakage, female hair balding. That comes with a lot of shame. That causes women to start wearing weaves, and even those type of weaves, especially the ones that require glue on the scalp and so on. Um, it's just not a healthy hair practice, but it's understandable when we look at the history of African women as a whole, colonization and what slavery, the remnants of what they did break us down. We lost our culture. A lot of us even lost our language, lost our names, adapted to Muzungu names or the colonizers' names, and with that, we also started identifying our beauty in a different image that did not look like us. The idea of, let's say, what the Caucasian looks like, that lighter skin, straight hair. We started buying into that. If you look closer to that, then that means you're pure, you're more beautiful, you'll get more opportunities out in the workplace. And really, all the other things that we did to start shifting, like even in West Africa, lightening the skin so you can stop being so dark. Like those things, we see that they're still affecting us today. But because the natural hair industry is growing and we're now sort of like really admiring ourselves, going back and admiring how we look naturally with our natural hair and so on, it's a good thing. So my mission is, as an African woman, is to impact Africa in a way that with the natural hair industry, knowing that it's growing, untapped business, we're still learning a lot. You know, it's a market that we have full ownership of at this particular time. I mean, you'll see the Koreans that specialize in creating the hair. They specialize in the extensions and the weaves. And India supplies us with, you know, human hair weaves in Brazil, etc. But these practices are come at a price, especially for women. For example, in India, women sacrifice, they grow their hair for years, could be 7 years, for their god. And then they go to the shrine and they have their hair shaved off. Now, this hair that's shaved off, she is believing that she's sacrificing her hair for her god. But what really happens in these temples is that this hair is collected by the men. They clean it, they put it in weaves, they bring it to the US, and it sells at so much money. And she never even gets a dime. She doesn't even know that's where her hair went. So to me, I find like a lot of these practices also still violation on women. So we could see that there's this connection on how the value of hair and what it means. Like if I have less hair, and identity. If I have more hair, then that means I'm better. I mean, there's just so much craziness because of that, the trauma that we've gone through for several years. And so, as we're looking to heal, to continue healing, it's to educate women on natural hair and catch them early, catch them before they start, I don't know, maybe passing on this crazy mindset thing to their children, to their girls especially, you know. So what we do is like we educate about natural hair. we've educated about hair, period. And so we talk about hair was put on our bodies by God for protection in every area of our body. It serves its purpose. However, in African culture and in the world, we've given hair a really high value. So that if your hair looks a certain way, you have more status, or if your hair at the time, at one point, a couple of years back, I would say maybe 2 decades ago, when I was thinking about locking my hair before it was even a thing, before it was even trending, or I had started doing my research and I was like, no, I'm going to lock my hair. And I remember coming home for the first time. I just created my own locks. I was just figuring this thing out. And my aunts, the minute they saw me, they were like, "Are you a Mau?" I was like, "What? Yes." And I grew up in Canada. At that time, we were living in Canada. So growing up in a town where we were the minority was already difficult. And my hair is natural. And I have all types of allergies. I can't use chemicals. And I knew this. I'm so grateful where we are that the natural hair industry is growing and I'm making a living out of just doing that and nothing else. And I started off my salon over 10 years ago. It's grown enough. I have, you know, I opened one in Kenya also because I thought that what I was learning was so important and I wanted to bring it home, for the women because I was watching women's hairlines receding and wondering what's going on, that doesn't even look good, you know. Uh, Chemicals that are outdated that were being used, chemicals that actually say do not use on a pregnant woman and were being used on pregnant women, and I just thought it was like chaotic in the it just baffles me that we've been colonized to be ashamed of how God created us. And when we look at it today, everyone else, including the Kardashians, everyone's trying to look like us. They're augmenting their body to look different, bigger lips, bigger nose. At the end of the day, bigger behinds, bigger bust, all these things, which is just the epitome of the beauty of the African woman. So redefining who we are, redefining what beauty is in our own context. And it's important for me because I have a daughter and I have a son. So, how I want them to move into the world is to be proud of themselves, that they are uniquely and perfectly, made in the image of God, and to be good citizens of the world. And in order for you to do that, you have to feel like you belong. You have to have that sense of belonging. Building confidence, being able to ask questions. So for my daughter, she's never known anything else. She's always been natural from birth. She's never had extensions. She's never had braids. She's just been locked. All she knows is that her hair has been locked. And she's now a young adult. So I'm really, really grateful for that experience. That just to see that even when I started this journey and there was no support, even when people thought I was insane, talking about, hey, stop perming your hair, and after my experience and telling women we can actually go for natural hair. I had to be an example. I realized early on that it wasn't enough to just talk about it, is that I had to actually sort of do my hair so that people can see that it's possible, what that looks like. I had to take the risk, the chance, and I was willing to, walking a road less traveled, you know. Yeah, and I feel like that was the staff that I was given by my ancestors. I'm here to do what I need to do. I never saw my shosho's hair, both of them. I got to know both my grandparents on both sides, on my mom and dad's side, but I never got to see their hair, because although I was so curious, always trying to peek, even when she was sleeping, trying to move the headscarf, which we call the kitamba. I only saw their hair on this side. And to think that even as early as 8 years old, I was so curious about this thing called hair. I just feel like I'm walking into this is my destiny.